Welcome to the Left of Str8 Show, your one-stop destination for intriguing conversations with extraordinary individuals who are boldly navigating life outside the conventional norms. Our host, Scott Fullerton, is thrilled to embark on this journey of discovery with all of you. The Left of Str8 Show, we believe that every person's story is unique, and it's our mission to showcase the diversity of human experiences. We bring you the untold stories of fascinating people who identify as LGBT+ and allies, pushing boundaries, breaking stereotypes, and making a positive impact in our communities. On this show, we bring you a diverse lineup of inspiring guests, from activists to artists, and entrepreneurs to entertainers, and everything in between. We dive deep into their personal journeys, discovering the pivotal moment that has shaped their lives and careers. You can expect thought-provoking discussions on a wide range of topics, from LGBTQ rights, social justice to arts, culture, mental health, and more. Our guests are change-makers who share their insights, challenges, and triumphs, igniting conversation that promotes empathy, understanding, and love. So whether you're part of the LGBTQ community or an ally looking to expand your knowledge and show your support, the Left of Str8 Show is for you. Together, we can build bridges of understanding and acceptance, celebrating the beauty of what makes us all unique. So sit back, grab a drink, and get ready for the show.
Well, hello there, friends. I appreciate you, him, her, they, and all of our pronouns in this National Coming Out Month. I'm your host, as always, Scott Fullerton. Welcome back to the Left of Str8 Show, where I have the privilege of interviewing celebrities and personalities from the areas of entertainment, foodies, books, music, and advocacy, all of interest to our LGBTQ community and straight allies. Today we're talking music with my special guest. Queen Sr8 is in the studio. Sr8 is an American queer pop artist known for her mixture at the masculine and the feminine, and she has new music out now that I can't wait to talk to her all about. The Sr in her name is reference to being everyone's knight in shining armor, along with the Jet being her initials, Jet. Jet is actually a former agoraphobic mute and began singing in an attempt to reclaim her voice, which is amazing. It was from there she began not only forming an interest in pursuing a singing career, but also this journey of fitness and the interest in the male body itself. As she explains in many of her popular YouTube vlogs, the male body can be adorned with anything that makes one feel beautiful, including originally designed for women. I can't wait to share this unique story and amazing new music with you. So please welcome to the Left of Str8 Show for the very first time, Queen Sr8. Sr8, how are we doing today?
Good. How are you?
I am doing amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Congratulations on the new music dropping last month. That's got to be awesome.
It's really fun, yes.
I love it. Well, I always ask two questions every virgin on the show here. The first is I'd like to know a little bit about you. Why don't you tell me where you grew up and what kind of a kid you were?
Oh, gosh. What kind of kid I was. I originally grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, and then my family at age 10, we moved to Scottsdale, Arizona. I was always introverted, very shy. I actually was, answering this on another interview. I remember my mom got a list of all the boys' names in my class, and she had to call each of them and be like, "Will you be Joel's friend?" And it was a weird childhood. What can I say?
It's all strange for all of us. I agree. That had to be different going from Chicago winters to Arizona summers. Oh my goodness. That's a bit of an adjustment there. And talk about your journey. I always like to ask the second question for everyone. When did you first come out to yourself? And where do you feel you first kind of started finding your LGBTQ tribe?
Well, I knew from a very young age, maybe around 2 or 3, that I didn't really feel particularly male or female. And, I would ask my parents, I'd ask my mom, I was like, is there something that's not a man or woman? And she'd be like, no. you're one or the other. And my dad would say something similar. And, but I always knew, like, it's like, I want to wear dresses. You know, I was like, no, those are for girls. And it's like, well, then I want to be a girl. And she'd be like, no. And so it was like, almost like a lifelong struggle with this, because I kept going back to being like, well, I want these things that are for women. And, I don't really feel like I'm 100% man, not because I like these things, but because it was just like a internal unconscious feeling. I identified as, homosexual, and I came out around 19. But I think my biggest transformation was the realization around 26 or 27, that when I moved to Hollywood, and I met somebody who said boys can wear high heels, and I had no idea. And from there, it was just like, oh my God, I can wear all these things in my childhood I was told I can't wear, and it's awesome. And I feel like that was my like real coming out. Like, gay wasn't that big of a deal. It was being non-binary that was like the winner there.
And so that's when you started finding your tribe. Was it moved to LA there, or where do you find your tribe, and how did you kind of first feel accepted within the community itself?
I would say I did find like-minded people when I moved to LA. They were far few in between. I had lived in LA for, before that point, I'd say maybe half a year, almost a year. And during that time, because of what I look like, I was very much accepted by all the, the gays, the WeHo gays and whatnot. But once I started bleaching my, because I went platinum blonde, and I started doing all these photo shoots with all these fancy clothes, I got invited less and less to their social events. And but I still had, a couple of friends who were tried and true, who were the misfits.
There you go. It's unfortunately, it's part of every community where we like to eat our own a bit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you think each community in and of itself would be accepting of at least your own community, but that's what Mean Girls was all about, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. I think about
Horrible.
me a lot.
Well, and you talked about your parents. I thought it was interesting. I read that you said your mom and dad really had no problem with you being gay. They just wanted you to kind of pick a gender, which I think is very. I mean, I can understand a confusion for some people, but I love that they kind of fully accepted you for who you loved. I mean, that's part of the battle, right?
Hmm. I mean,
And
we've kind
go
of
ahead.
gotten to the point where, I mean, they know that I don't identify fully as male, but they don't acknowledge it. Um, as a performer, it's okay to them. They scroll back to the idea of, like the Boy George and the Pete Burns, and it's like, you dress effeminate when you get on stage, but you take it off when you're not on stage. But the thing that I don't think they'll ever really accept is the idea that, like, I'm still that person when I come off stage, and I still want to, wear, satin panties when when I'm not performing, kind of thing. And
Right.
that's, to them, that's disturbing. And I'm like, well, I can't change what you feel. You are who you are. So we leave it at that kind of, as long as we don't talk about it. And that's like, like most parents, like, as long as you don't hit those button issues with them, they're nice to you.
Right. And I talked in the intro about being agoraphobic and just not really be kind of mute at the time. Was that just due to social pressures and kind of bullying, or was that just being insecure of yourself, or what kind of do you feel brought that on? How did you overcome that?
It all started when I reached puberty, because I didn't like the idea of my voice changing. I didn't want a deeper voice.
Right.
And, at the time, I just decided, well, if I can't control it, I'm just going to stop it. So I just stopped talking altogether. And I didn't even know, like my mom thought something was wrong with me, and she would like take me to specialists and be like, there's nothing wrong with his vocal cords. He's fine. But it wasn't until I got this like notion in my head, around like 18, I was like, I want to sing. It's like, I love music and I want to sing. And I went to voice lessons, and, I had no choice but to bring that voice out that I hadn't used in almost 10 years.
Right.
And I was able to come to terms with it. And I was like, this isn't horrible. And it's not, it's not really deep. So it's kind of in the middle, and that's who I am. So, it worked out in that sense. And so it was through learning how to sing that I learned how to speak again. And it was a whole new world because, like talking on the phone, like I couldn't talk on the phone as a teenager. I couldn't even like walk into a store and ask for help because I was just so frightened of the idea that somebody who whispered is going to be like told to get lost. So, it was like a whole new world being able to just like walk into a public place and like speak. It was like, it was so life changing.
I bet. I mean, I think everyone kind of hates their voice, especially the recorded voice.
Yeah.
That's always difficult for people. It's like you hear yourself back the first time. It's like, oh my God, do I really sound like that? I mean, and I can understand when you're kind of figuring out your identity and what your likes are, where a deep masculine voice. Like I find that voice sexy as hell. It's like very Harvey Firestein to me, who does great in drag, as Edna, who loves dressing. I mean, it's just, to me, I find it very sexy, but I can understand the frustration behind it. And it's great to kind of be able to just open up to yourself. I mean, that takes a lot of gradual steps to start accepting yourself for who you are, right?
Oh, yes. I even now as a adult in my 40s, I'm still like making faux pas every now and then and having to backtrack and say, okay, well, what who are you really, and what is it you really want in these situations?
Right. Well, we all do. I mean, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy sometimes, but we try to get past it, and hopefully with some friends and with sometimes with therapy, whatever it takes for different people to do things. I've had friends go through all of that. Let's get into this interest in music is what brought you out of it. What was your early music influences? What was your first song you ever bought or album you ever bought? What was your first music inspirations?
Oh gosh, the very first. Um, I had cassette tapes. That's how old I am. You probably had records.
I hate to say it, and I rarely ever admit it, but I will to you because you're so handsome and charming. But I had 8-track tapes. I'm about a
Oh,
good decade on you, so I hear you.
right. So my first cassette tape is, from what I recall, I think it was Madonna's Immaculate Collection. It's not a bad
Elton
choice.
John here, so same genre. I hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That is so awesome. Now, when did you first try on? I mean, you say that the clothing starts to empower you. When did you first put on a garment or something that made you kind of have that aha moment? It's like, this matches what I've been thinking all this time.
Mm.
When were you able to kind of, and then feel like I can wear this whenever I want? I'm a grown ass human being and I want to do this. When was that first kind of acceptance for you?
I think there was definitely several instances because, like, when I was really little, we had preschool and they had dress up trunks, and I'd go over there and I love the leotards. I love like I wanted to put on like which is actually like not much different from what I'm wearing now. Um, yeah, so they had like like the sequins on them, and um, I was just in awe. And I was like, this is fun, but like as soon as my mother showed up, she'd be like, "What are you wearing? Take that off." And I'd be like, getting older, um, it was a really long time. I used to wear like things that were like a little bit different, like see through and fishnetty in my like
Right.
my adolescence, and or I'd say adolescence, more like late 20s or early 20s. Um, but I don't think I had like that thorough aha moment until like I bought my first pair of heels. and they were on a store called Playmates, which isn't there anymore on Hollywood Boulevard. And there were these gladiator sandals that like laced up, and the heel was like this big. It was huge. And, you know, I put those on, and I put on probably like, I don't know, it was probably a Speedo or something. I was like, oh, this is me. This is totally me. Just like the underwear and the heels, like that. That's it. That is Sir Jet.
I think it's such a big part of identity, no matter who you are. The first time you actually go buy your own things for you, and that's when you start kind of
Yes.
making your own identity, right? I mean, whether it's a pair of jeans, whether it's your Ocean Pacific shirt back in the day, or your, what was it, Le Tigre or something when it was hip and young back there. I'm that
Yeah.
old. You didn't have the Izos or whatever on it. But even, be it men's, women's clothing, anything that kind of fits your personality, once you get to do that for yourself, that really helps embolden your own personality, right?
Yes. And just that feeling of like, this is mine and I own it. And I purchased it with my own money, and it's like, it's so me.
I love that. Now, you have this amazing body. Talk about this transformation. When did it start? When did you kind of feel like you got to your peak? And how do you clothe that? Because, oh my goodness, you have muscles upon muscles. How do you find clothing? But you must have everything tailored.
Well, everything stretches. You're
That
everything
makes
that
it easy.
stretches. Yeah. I actually, like, I started working out when I like turned 18. Um, and it was again an identity kind of thing. Like um, I started getting fitness magazines and like international male catalogs, and I was like I kind of like, I like this look, and I want to embody it. And I never liked sports as a child because it had to do with people, and you know I didn't want to be around people. You know,
Right.
no, I didn't want to be part of a team at all as a child. But like for some reason, weightlifting, you know, it felt really good. Weightlifting and cardio machines, and it just became habitual because it was like it was a sport, and I'm actually rather athletic, but I don't like teams. I don't like being around other people when I work out.
Right.
So I kept at it, and um, I realized, you know, once I started singing, that it was like, it was both a blessing and a curse. And I'll say it was a curse because, you know, the record companies would look at me and be like, this is too gay. And this is just like, you know, you're too muscular to be a singer. We can't market this. A blessing in the sense that, it, you know, even though like the media and the record companies didn't like it, people around me liked it. And it encouraged me to actually finally let people into my life and talk to them.
Oh, nice.
I didn't really do that before.
Well, unfortunately, as we know, the LGBTQ community is very centered on looks. I mean, more than we want it to be, right? And so that is a big calling card when you have, when you're a good-looking man, when you're good-looking women. Um, it gets that invitation of people to talk to you. Like you said, if you're shy, that's got to be a little difficult to begin with to kind of get that going. But it's really, I think that singing is what really brings out your personality, right? Even more so than your body. Was the singing when you kind of first felt really expressing yourself, when you were able to write these words down?
Oh, definitely. Just being able to produce sound again, like I was saying, was just like such a phenomenon. And, um, you know, studying voice, and, you know, like the more you study it, the more you work at it, the stronger your voice gets, and you're able to produce more volume and all those things. And so there was a real um, strengthening in my in who I was from just learning how to produce sound and like keep at it and learn how to make the voice stronger and stronger. And it took a while because like I pulled down all my early releases. Like anything before 2010 is not online anymore. And that's because my voice was just not developed, and I just listened to it and I was like, oh, I'm off key. And my earlier stuff was even before auto-tune was available to the public, so like it was all very raw vocals. And I was like, oh, I can't keep this on the internet. It's brutal.
This is my 6th season, and I don't think I've let the first 2 seasons out of my sight to anyone to download those. I mean, I try to scrub the internet because I did not have audio quality. I still don't like my voice, but it's like I was very. It was just. I understand where you're coming from 100% on that. That's so funny. Now, talk about. I read where you create the lyrics. You get the lyrics, you get the ideas in your head, but you're not really the music guy. So you're able to kind of share. Do you have a sense of the music in your head when you do it and ask someone to kind of put the notes, or do you just are you totally lyrics and ask someone to compose something around it?
Usually it starts with I hear a song that I like, and I take it to somebody. I'm like, can you give me a song that's in this kind of mood and this kind of tempo and whatnot? And honestly, like the finished product never sounds anything like the sample track I give them, which is a good thing because you don't want to get sued.
Right. Got to be original. I like that.
Right.
Well, let's talk about this first EP kind of dedicated to your gender fluidity. I mean, this is back in 2012. Talk about just the entire part of putting out an MP. What was the excitement of it? What scared you about it? And how did that first kind of foray into the music world feel for you?
That was, I would say like late 2011 to late 2012 was like the best part of my life, like my favorite time to be alive. Because it was the first time that I got to make music that I liked. I got to work with a producer who understood what I was like saying, and I also had like a manager at the time who did not censor me in any way, shape, or form. Because like everybody else I had worked with before was either trying to mold me into a beefcake or any kind of thing I wasn't. And this man was very accepting. He let me make all the choices, and it was the video for the single "Shout Out to the Lonely." That was definitely a labor of love. I'd say like a good 80% of that was my ideas, which I'd never done before. A lot of times, when you bring a song to a video director, they're like, okay, we're going to do this, because this is what I'm hearing. But that time was, they actually asked me, what do you want to do? And what are you seeing? And so like, it was a really strong time of self-expression. I basically had a say in almost every part of that EP.
That's got to be so empowering. I love that. And you need that to build your confidence, right?
Oh,
Once you get
yes.
that under your belt, you have that confidence builder. And hopefully you take that boldness to your next step, because once you get that kind of a team around you, you kind of see what other things are like, and you hopefully can learn from it and not kind of shrink back down that anyone start taking advantage of you again. Did you ever feel kind of going back into that metaphorical closet with your music, or were you able to keep that emboldened and feel that positivity of it?
Shortly after that release, things kind of caved in, honestly. I couldn't, I almost had the record deal, did not get it. And at that point I had put so much money into that project. I really didn't have any choice but to move back in with my family. And that was a tough time period, because like I had never like worked honestly before. I never had like a day job, and I started working in a grocery store, and I was like, this is crazy. You don't make a lot of money no matter how hard you work. And I learned there was like a level of humility that I had to go through and experience just to. And I don't know if that was good or bad, because it was like a shock to the ego, but it was also, it was a learning experience.
It
And
was just a reality. You had to live through it and
yeah,
power through it, right?
you had to face reality. It wasn't until um, I made the decision and went into porn that I finally got money back and I started making money again and I could start making music again. Um, so that was, it was a transformation, but it was also another transformation in the sense that like the porn industry, unfortunately, is another mean girls industry and they want to mold you and they want one type of version of you. And if you try to be creative and you try to um, work outside the box in any way, they shut you out. So
Right.
it was another like identity crisis I went through those years, like 2017 to up to maybe like last year, of just like, do I fit in? Like, how do I go back to who I was, or do I create a new version of myself that's kind of a mismatch of both this masculine porn side and this feminine singer side?
Right. And it's such a dichotomy, I can imagine, because of course the music industry wants that hook, and so the looks and everything for the feminine can be an attraction in the music industry. It can be a hook, but then again, like you said, you have that hyper masculinity look as well that they're kind of trying to market. They don't know how to market you, and I'm sure that's kind of
That
hard.
yeah,
And you have to kind of speak up for yourself. And if you're shy like you are, kind of hard to market yourself, I can imagine too, right?
I mean, there's always going to be an issue if you're not absolutely perfect, if you're not what they're looking for. So um, you just keep trying, you just keep reinventing and hoping something will stick.
Right. Well, I read how when you decided to go into the porn industry and how that was to kind of start making music again because you were filling that creative void, right? And this
Yeah,
was creative in one way, but it was more of a money making endeavor for you, right? To fulfill your really creative needs, which is your music. So that's did you get any grief for that? Were you able to kind of make your piece for that? I mean, it's had to be. I've I don't think that anyone that I've talked to has ever been ashamed of anything they've done to live for their art, right? So were you able to kind of be um, fine with everything throughout at the time, or looking back on it, did you have to kind of make peace with
I think that, I really couldn't think of any other way to make money at the time. I had been through the day job experience and it was crushing me. And um, it was just such a joy again to have the money to put back into music. So I didn't regret it in any way. I wish I could have done more. I wish I had been a little more popular because I wanted even more money to make
it?
that music.
Right?
But I did what I could with what I got.
Well, I mean, and you look at it now, it's almost, if you look at it on the flip side, we have all these TikTokers and OnlyFans people that are making jillions of bucks, but not knowing they're spending it like as quick as it's coming in, and they don't have the reality of what's going to happen on the other side of it, right? So it's very much a two-edged sword. I think when you come from your end, you learn what the reality is of having to make a living. Then you know that you want your talent. Then you find the money to make it. It kind of all works together, and you get a better business sense, I think, of it. I feel sorry for some of these guys. I mean, they're gorgeous guys, and they're making lots of money, but unless you plan and pay attention, it's going to go away pretty quick for them.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had a plan. I'm a planner. I've always had an idea of like, I'm making this money. I'm doing this activity for the sake of the X and Y, and it's probably very true. They don't really know what they're doing. They just know they're making money and living their lives. I don't know any horror stories personally, but I don't know any positive stories either. I
Right.
know who's making a lot of money, and I know who's not making a lot of money, but um, I wouldn't say the outcome for either one is any different.
Right.
They're just kind of living their lives.
And I read something you said that was I thought was so profound. Said the words in your songs kind of tend to be about how you see yourself, but when you did your porn, it kind of was giving others how they saw you, right? And giving and letting them. I think that's really profound because it is, and as long as you have a good sense of self, you could lose yourself in that if you don't have a good sense of self. And I think that talks about your character and being able to balance that dichotomy inside you. That's amazing.
Yeah. I definitely say if you want to know who I am, just listen to the words of my songs. If you want me to entertain you, then, subscribe to my porn channel. I mean, they're both entertaining in their own way, but, I know what people want. The majority of people wanted me, and I was willing to give it in order to make the money to put back into my art.
Right. Well, I want to show this new video here in just a second. We're going to talk about the other side. I do got to talk about Empowered Bottom. I mean, I love the visuals from Bowie to Prince to Boy George. The concepts behind your music videos are amazing. And did you still using that creative control that you learned about early on? Because this new video we're going to talk about on the other side, it has a lot of great creatives as well.
I'd say like a little bit. Like Empowered Bottom, that was mostly Brad Hammer's concept and his ideas. My idea was to bring in the Str8 character, which was me in heels and a crown. That's what I picture when I said Empowered Bottom. I'm naked and I'm wearing the heels and the crown.
Nice.
Yeah. I'd say with this new video, all the looks were mine. They did not style anything for me. I brought a huge amount of wardrobe, and they picked the ones they liked the best, but it was all like my ideas. But it was their idea of the concept of the video to be like a behind the scenes kind of awakening kind of concept.
I love it. Well, let's go ahead and give my listeners and my viewers on YouTube and Spotify a little peek here. This is Male Femininity, debuted last month from my very special guest today, Queen Str8. We'll listen to it and talk about the other side. You listen to Left of Str8 Show right here on the Left of Str8 Radio Network.
Wanted me to believe that everyone hated me, and for a while I agreed, but I've moved on. I'm stronger now. Once to feel love, I needed everyone's approval. Did everything, I was on my knees. I aim to please. Time moves on, and I fail, trying to belong. So, without a doubt, I break out and stand. I'm parallel. I'm running out of reasons to not do the things you tell me I can't do. I'm gonna be who I am. Respect the girl that I've turned into. When people constantly fail you, the strength from inside makes you forgive the ones who hurt you. I've moved on as if I won, but what did I really win? Alone again, naturally. You'd think I was the queen of failure, but I'm so much more. A queen that survives, a queen that endures. I'm gonna be who I am. Respect the girl that I've turned into. Be who I am. do. Free to be me, your sexual royalty. I'm gonna be who I am. Respect the girl that I've turned into. Be who I am. Even if my life offends you, I don't need you to love me. Expect you to hate me. This body I'm built to please. Be who I am. The goddess of my femininity. Free to be me. The goddess of my femininity. Free to be me. The goddess of my femininity.
All right, everyone, we are back. That was my very special guest today. We have Queen Jet here in studio. Amazing, congratulations. Male femininity. I mean, we talked about it before. The costume choices were amazing. Talk about creating this video and this music. What was it like to put this out in the world last month?
It was a lot of fun. I got to work with people in Toronto. I've never ventured outside the US before, and that was a cool little adventure. It was really fun to honestly wear dresses again and not just in front of the mirror in my room and then take them off and go sit down somewhere.
Right?
I need more excuses to wear dresses. I'm too much of a buzzkill right now.
Right. Like you say, you can't control how people feel or make people accept you, but it's nice to be able to be your true self, right? For as long a time or short a time as you can, and to be very open and honest and share that with people. If they don't like it, fuck them. I mean, it's nice to be able to have that out there, and something that I think you should be able to be proud of. You work with Velvet Code again. How was working with them again?
Oh, he's very fun. We have we're good at combining our talents, I'd say. This was one of the first songs that we worked on where he just gave me kind of a melody line guide, and I actually wrote the lyrics to the verses and the talking parts.
Nice.
Yeah, I've never done that before. I've never written I've always kind of handed them a list of lyrics I like, and they basically pick and choose stuff and put it in the song. But this was the first time that I got to sit down with the song and actually write and just practice over and over. It's does this fit? Yes, this fits. Okay, keep going, kind of thing.
Right. And I think I read you had a lot of symbolism in that, picking the choices as well, from what the black goth costume meant to being able to celebrate in the end with that beautiful blue gown. You had a little symbolism going through the video, right?
Yes. So the black gown was a nod to Shout Out to the Lonely. It also features a necklace that's all skulls, which I was always doing the very goth look back in 2012.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm not wearing makeup in that beginning part of the video. It's just a simple face. And it's a reflection of I've had that feeling, that person is still inside me, but I've also had to take it off to function in the world. Going back to, we talked about having to get day jobs and whatnot. So it was symbolic of a sense of, I'm still very glamorous, but I have a sense of humility as well.
I love that. I love when there's deeper meanings behind everything, especially to the artists themselves. That's so cool. Now, talk about that a little bit. I mean, you look fantastic in these gowns and dresses, and you like the way you look. But the makeup is primarily dramatic makeup, right? It's for effect and for the videos. Makeup's not a thing that is that anything you prefer when you go out? It's not, you're not a drag queen by any means. You just like the clothing and the style of the women, correct?
No, I don't consider what I do drag. Some people would say cross-dresser. It depends. Like I said, clothes don't really have a gender. We're naming them
Love
because
it.
that's
Right.
what we were told to do as kids. um, I wear makeup any chance that I can do it. I mean, right now I just got back from the gym, so obviously don't wear makeup to the gym. It'll just, especially if
Right.
you're a sweater like me, it'll just ooze down your face.
Now,
Um,
do you go to the gym with other people now, or do you have your own home gym or a home gym you go to?
I go to the local Gold's Gym, but
There
I
you
don't talk to people. The headphones go in and the world goes away.
There you go. In and out. I like it. How long is your routine there now? You have it trimmed down?
Typically, I'm there for about 3 hours, 6 days a week. Yeah,
Amazing.
it's a little much.
It's a little much for a lot of people. I mean, it has a result, so you can't argue with the result. But that's a commitment. I think everything in our life is a commitment. That is a commitment right there.
Yeah, I mean, also it's very much me time. It's like my self-care time
Right.
period.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
Now the music's been out for about a month. The reception seems to be excellent for it. Are you feeling happy with the way it's been released and everything? You're getting some great feedback on it.
Oh yes. I haven't had any negative feedback, which is good.
It's always good, right?
Nobody has said that's too much, so I think I'm on the right track. Like 10 years ago, they probably would have said, "Oh hell no," which is what they did with my previous releases. Um, but yeah, it's been a good reception. It's like they say these words are inspiring. This is a very interesting concept. It's original, but it's also a very catchy song. So
Right. And talk about releasing these things now. I think you're putting another EP together. I mean, you've been in the music industry now long enough that it's changed so much, right? Where you really want to put the album out at first to get the kind of listens. Now it's all about singles and EPs and things like that. And you still get 0.3 cents on every 1,000 plays on a Spotify or something like that. The business side of the music, how's that affected how you put music out? Has it at all?
um, honestly, throughout my whole career, I've never really had an ROI. It's always been just like this is my passion, this is my art. Um, when I first started, that was when CDs were still going, but MP3s were just starting.
Right.
And at the time, it was still about like selling physical copies. Um, and then eventually it went to MP3s, and now it's streaming.
Right.
But I don't think, unless you have like a solid hit song, whether it's CDs, MP3s, or streaming, you're not going to see like a huge monetary comeback.
Sure.
It's you do it because you love it. I could be wrong with other artists, but that's been my experience.
No, I think it's been pretty universal. I speak to a lot of singers here. In fact, my next question for you, I just had recently Jim Veraros on, who is from American Idol. He just released a new song. I was talking to someone, who was I talking to the other day? Someone the other day. Anyway, the thing to do now is to do remixes and send them to Europe and things like that, work with some DJs. Is that in your future? Do you see yourself working with other artists and having them remix your songs to different locations or different beats?
I mean, I'm open to it. I mean, you can make the song sound however you want for your audience as long as they're listening.
There you go. All righty. Well, what's next on the horizon for Queen Surjet? What do we have to look forward to next?
We got a couple more songs to do before we can release like a actual EP collection. And I'm working on a performance that I can pitch to prides and maybe other kinds of festivals of all the songs. And I got like some tearaway costumes, and we'll see if I can make it happen.
Nice. I mean, I follow your Instagram now since we were going on, and I saw this gorgeous little purple number from a Pride this summer down south. It looks amazing. So yeah, you got some great looks to choose from there, my friend. I
Oh
love it.
yes.
All right. Well, Queen Str8, thank you so much for being on the Left of Str8 Show. We're going to do a special 5 questions with Str8 a little bit. Look for that next Tuesday. Let everyone know where they can find you. Give a website or where they can find the music and where they can follow you on social media.
Okay. Yes, you can find my music under Queen Str8 on iTunes or Spotify or Tidal. Social media. If you like the spicy stuff on Twitter, it's I am Str8. If you like the more music and fashion, there's Instagram and TikTok. Instagram is I am Queen Str8 and TikTok is Queen Str8.
Very, very good. Well, Queen Str8, again, thank you so much. Stick around for 5 questions. Stay on the line for me. Guys, we'll have another interview for you because it's the Left of Str8 Show where I get to talk to so many great people, just like Queen Str8 here. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Left of Str8 Show. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast distributor, and please give us a 5-star rating so more listeners can find us. You can follow us on social media, and be sure to check out our website, www.leftofstraightradio.com, for contests and other news and information. See you next week.